December 2017, a Southwest Airlines passenger was caught smoking in the airplane bathroom, but when a flight attendant barged in and tried to send her back to her seat, things got out of hand.
I need to go there. I swear if we don't.
Not only did the woman tamper with the smoke detector in the bathroom, but she also proceeded to rip an oxygen mask out of the ceiling as the crew forced her back to her seat, and that's when she got mad.
I will kill everybody on this.
After hearing that the plane won't land for her, the woman goes insane, threatening to murder everyone. And well, that was the pilot's cue to call in an emergency and land. But while she did get her wish, she was in for a big surprise.
I will kill everybody on this plane.
She was arrested at the airport and jailed on $75,000 bail. On May 20th, 2015, the TSA notified airport police that a man was causing trouble in the screening area at one of the terminals. And when they got there, the 21-year-old refused to cooperate and pushed past an officer. Despite several warnings from the officer, the man continued walking casually like he owned the place. And let's just say, it didn't go well for him.
Attention, sir, you need to stop now! Don't move! Don't move! Don't move!
You don't just breach security at an airport and walk away without consequences. But even getting tased wasn't enough for this man, because when backup arrived to arrest him, he dug himself into an even larger hole.
Don't move! Don't move! Don't move! Do not move! Do you understand? Do not move!
He was booked for trespassing and resisting arrest. In 2022, passengers on a flight to Dubai witnessed an extraordinary incident when a man lay in the middle of the aisle and started praying. The man was average while boarding the plane, but something took over him as soon as the plane took off. He refused to return to his seat, even getting violent with the crew. They only had one option: tie him down. He was not in the right state of mind, and while the cabin crew tried to be polite, it just wasn't working. And when they told him he'd be handed over to the security officials upon landing, he went berserk.
Don't do this!
He was deported on the next available flight. On December 12th, 2020, at McCarran International Airport, a flight to Portland was preparing for takeoff when the pilot noticed someone running toward the plane. A 41-year-old man had somehow managed to sneak past security and climb onto the wing. Of course, the pilot instantly notified the tower, and officers were dispatched to apprehend him. But the saga didn't end there. The man was on the wing for over 40 minutes, and after taking off his shoes and socks for traction, he held onto the wing like he was ready to fly. With the law enforcement closing in on him, his luck was about to run out. In 2018, dramatic scenes unfolded at Sydney Airport as the police arrested a wanted man flying in from New Zealand. He was part of a criminal group, and the police had already seized over $2.7 million worth of cash, drugs, and guns from his storage facility. And judging by his reaction, the 34-year-old was not happy about it. Despite being held and transported by multiple officers, the man refused to give in, swinging his handcuffs and punching an officer who tried to film him, but he could only cause so much trouble before facing the music. In January 2022, a Ryanair flight departed from Manchester and headed for southern Portugal. But merely an hour into the journey, the Boeing aircraft's pilots had to make a sudden descent while flying over the English Channel. A fire had broken out, and the situation was so bad that the plane plunged 35,000 feet in just 7 minutes. Prayers and cries echoed through the cabin as the passengers thought they were about to crash. Luckily, the plane made an emergency landing in northern France and was met on the tarmac by fire trucks and police vehicles as passengers were evacuated. Sometimes, people don't even need a reason to throw tantrums at an airport. In 2022, for instance, a woman at Miami airport got mad over absolutely nothing and started criticizing everyone around her before boarding the plane.
They stupid. They ain't have not to live. I believe since 2015. And you bitches are dumb.
She was headed to Tampa, Florida, and even though everything was clear, she couldn't help but be aggressive with other passengers and the staff.
Do you love God? Would you die for God? God right now?
Get out of here.
I'm making a scene because the government.
Funnily enough, she almost dropped her dentures during the episode. But while her nonsense was entertaining for the first couple of minutes, it was clear that something had to be done to end this. And well, that's where the security comes in. In Vancouver, Canada, a passenger attempts to enter a late plane by walking down an airport bridge, and even though he's stopped by security at the gate, he decides to barge through them anyway. Apparently, after heading in, he attempted to take over the plane, at which point the police had to be called. But that's not enough to make him realize what he's doing.
Hey, look at you.
Threatening to murder someone while being detained by the police is one way to end up on the no-fly list. In 2020, passengers on an American Airlines flight experienced an incident straight out of the Exorcist movie, as a woman went insane and climbed on top of the seats right when the plane was getting ready to take off. The woman kept screaming at the passengers, letting them know she had the intention of copulating throughout the entire evening. But that wasn't even the worst bit, because next, she decided to assault other passengers. At this point, she needed to be escorted off the plane, and there was a good chance of her being arrested too. However, if that wasn't enough to rack up her charges, she made sure she'd be spending her night in jail by damaging the plane. Big batteries aren't allowed on planes because, in 2023, things went wrong on a flight from Taiwan to Singapore when a passenger's power bank exploded shortly before takeoff. The battery pack overheated and burst into flames, spreading smoke throughout the cabin. The owner also received minor burns to his fingers, and of course, the flight couldn't take off with a fire on board, could it? The airport authorities dispatched firefighters who quickly boarded the plane and extinguished the flame, but the flight had to be rescheduled. In 2019, a passenger thought praying in the cockpit during his flight from Paris to Tunisia would be a good idea, but when the cabin crew arrived to stop him, the man turned violent. The situation was already bad enough, with the passenger trying to throw punches at a flight attendant. Still, he dug into an even bigger hole by screaming, "Allahu Akbar." The man's fate was sealed with dozens of security officials arriving on the flight. He was about to be dragged out and arrested. That didn't stop him from resisting, though. Airplane passengers can sometimes be stubborn, especially when putting their seatbelts on. Sure, it may not seem like a big deal, but this is precisely why you should listen to the attendants and ensure you're strapped in. This plane fell about 6,000 feet within seconds due to severe turbulence while flying over Myanmar, and everyone who wasn't wearing a seatbelt got launched into the ceiling. The entire cabin looked like a war zone after the incident, with people hastily fastening their seatbelts after getting their heads whacked on the ceiling. The damage was so bad that almost 30 people had to go to the medical center for assessment after landing. In 2024, Tampa Airport police received reports that several intoxicated passengers were trying to barge their way onto their flights after being denied entry.
Yes or no? Look at me. You can't be on this plane.
Keep walking. We're trying not to put you in jail. We're trying to get you out of here.
What did I do?
It doesn't matter. Put your shoe on. Put your shoe on.
What did I do, though? Is this where I'm going?
One passenger refused to leave the airport, even though the officers warned him multiple times he'd be arrested for resisting. But some people need to learn, do they?
You're intoxicated. They won't let you park.
No, I'm good here.
No, you're not. You're going.
No, I'm good
All
here.
right, 10:15. Put your hand behind your back.
Wait, let's take this off.
Are you?
That wasn't the only intoxicated passenger to cause a scene that day, though, because when a woman was told she wasn't allowed on her flight, she started screaming, asking the officers to arrest her.
Right. Arrest me right now then. Because you know what? I know my rights.
Hey.
Nobody's intoxicated.
Leave or you're getting arrested.
So arrest me.
Trespass after.
Of course, she fulfilled her wish. In March 2022, Atlanta police officers were called to the airport because someone's luggage had been stolen. Luckily, the man had a tracking device on the bag, and when the officers pinged its location, it led them to a train station. The luggage thief was caught red-handed with the bag still on him, but when the APD made the arrest, they realized he had stolen more than one person's bag. He also had another woman's reported stolen items on him.
You took the wrong bag. That's what you found. Where'd you get that bag from?
I bought it from someone. Actually.
No, we got you on camera taking it off the carousel.
You did? You bought that?
The suspect claimed he bought the bag from someone, but he'd already been caught taking it off the carousel. He was then taken to the Fulton County Jail and charged with 2 counts of theft and baggage removal in the terminal.
With the U.S. flag on it?
Where you get this bag from?
That's mine.
Yeah, we gonna see.
In October 2022, an Indigo aircraft was ramping up to take off from Delhi Airport when passengers noticed something terrifying outside their windows. The engine was on fire, and sparks flew across the runway as the plane accelerated. But luckily, the pilot of a plane behind the Indigo aircraft in the lineup noticed the fire and alerted air traffic control.
Flight 2131 stopping.
The passengers panicked after seeing the fire, so much so that they started leaving their seats. But the flight crew did their job and evacuated them safely so they could board an alternate aircraft. Drug smugglers have to be some of the most creative people on the planet because the ways they sneak stuff through security are unbelievable. For instance, airport security noticed something strange about the candy packs in someone's luggage. The candies were perfectly wrapped and sealed, almost as if they'd just been bought off the store shelf. But when security opened the package, they didn't find any candy in it. Of course, most people would assume it's chocolate, but the issue is that cocaine doesn't look like uniform chocolate under the X-ray scanners, and that's how several pounds of drugs were caught at the airport. In July 2014, a man named Lars Mittank was vacationing with friends in Bulgaria when he got injured in a fight and couldn't fly back with his friends. In the days to follow, Lars started acting strangely, calling his mother and claiming that people were trying to kill him. On the day he was supposed to fly back, Lars went to the airport to consult with a doctor, but minutes later, he was seen on security footage running outside towards a nearby forest. He told the doctor he didn't want to die there before running. Lars went missing after that. In the over 10 years since, people claim he's been spotted hitchhiking in Verna, and there have been multiple reported sightings of him in other countries, but no one knows what happened to him. In 2023, things went south on a United Airlines flight as a crazed man tried to open an emergency door, saying he wanted to jump out of the plane, but that was just the beginning of this insane saga.
So I can show everybody that I won't die when I take every bullet in that clip to wherever in my body they shoot it, and then I will kill every man on this plane.
After his failed attempt at opening the door, the man went on a tirade, talking about how he was going to murder everyone on the plane. And when other passengers tried to calm him down, saying he was scaring the passengers, he went crazy.
As renamed by God Walter, since I'm taking over this plane.
I'm telling you right now. I'm telling you right now.
Not only did the man head toward the cabin to take over the plane, but he also attempted to stab a flight attendant. But luckily, other passengers got up and held him down until the plane was on the ground. In July 2022, JetBlue employees alerted officers at the Broward County Sheriff's Office that a woman had left her oversized luggage at the terminal after refusing to pay a fee. After a few minutes, however, the woman returned to claim her bag.
What are you saying? Are you in the airport? In public? You said the N-word? Are you serious?
The woman arrived on the scene, throwing racist slurs at one of the staff members. However, that was just the beginning of her episode. She refused to take her luggage back and became aggressive toward the officer.
No. Carry it. No, go downstairs. You Excuse me, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
Get your hands
You're gonna get arrested.
The woman was informed her plane had departed 45 minutes earlier, but she refused to accept that. She kept insulting the officers and even attempted to assault one of them, which of course was always going to lead to an arrest.
Excuse you. Put your hands behind your back.
Please
Stop.
She got several charges, including public intoxication and assaulting an officer. In March 2024, San Francisco International Airport people witnessed a bizarre incident as a passenger went insane at the check-in counter and started screaming for security. However, things didn't get better when security officials arrived because the man was clearly in the wrong and didn't want to admit it. So rather than accepting his loss, he proceeded to spit at the officer. Once backup arrived, the man completely lost his calm, comically screaming even though no one had laid a finger on him yet. Not only that, but once he was arrested, he kept daring the officers to break his leg.
No, there are not! There are no medics! Everybody, there's no medics! Everyone, no medics! I have...
In September 2021, a Columbus police narcotics officer was wanted on suspicions of his links to the Mexican cartels while working on the force, but FBI agents intercepted him at the airport before he could leave the country. The officer was involved in the distribution of fentanyl and had accepted over $40,000 in cash bribes to protect cocaine smuggling operations. What's more, he was planning to buy property in Mexico to launder drug money. Thankfully, the suspect didn't resist arrest. He pleaded guilty to his crimes in February 2022 and was sentenced to 9 years. Witness a strange incident at Seattle-Tacoma International Airport as a woman has a total mental breakdown after her flight is cancelled.
Check the archive. Check that my daughter is safe. I want to know that my...
The woman is distressed about the situation, and even though screaming isn't the correct response, it's also understandable, as she's asking about her daughter's safety.
Alaska! I want to know that Raja Donaley is okay. My daughter, Raja Donaley.
She's not in the right mind, and the officer's mere standing there doesn't help the situation either. So, when she doesn't get any support from the people around her, her meltdown gets worse.
At airport, you don't know. I don't. You're gonna help me. You're gonna help me, huh?
On May 11th, 2018, deputies responded to a call about a suspicious person at Daytona Beach International Airport who'd gone into an under-construction restroom, placed a bag inside a hole in a wall, and emerged without wearing his clothes.
Here it is. Here it is. Get on the ground. Get on the ground.
After being surrounded by the deputies, the man, who was only wearing socks, refused to get on the ground, but that was just the tip of the iceberg because he then claimed that a bomb was about to go off in the airport.
Get on your belly. Hands behind your back.
At this point, he sat down and started crying. Of course, that was never going to work, because the deputies had already warned him he'd be tased if he didn't get on his belly. So, there was only one outcome here.
Hands behind your back, you get tased.
The airport had to be evacuated, but no bomb was found. Things have reached a boiling point at Miami International Airport as a man walks around the terminal, throwing insults at everyone.
Shut up! Shut up! Let me No one else go! No one else go!
He claims he's been stuck at the airport for 2 days, and the airline has refused to help him, which would help explain his rage. But that doesn't mean you can just walk around throwing a massive tantrum, does it?
You're ugly as You know exactly what the fuck. Shut the I need to go home.
The most bizarre aspect of the incident is that no security official steps in to end this saga, and the man continues his tirade for several minutes without interruption.
You're a cunt. Shut up. Shut up.
Speaking of crazy meltdowns, here's a woman who presumably took some drugs before boarding and is now having an awful trip, so much so that she thinks the plane is about to crash. The flight attendants kept telling her everything was fine and that she should calm down, but she doesn't believe them and wants to rush into the pilot's cabin, and when she doesn't have it her way, she gets even crazier.
I don't believe it! I don't believe it!
She goes as far as to slam her feet on the cabin doors, doing some crazy acrobatics along the way. It almost looks like she's been possessed, but at least she's not hurting anyone, right?
Crash? No, we're not. We're not crashing. No, we're not crashing. No, you are. We're not crashing. Don't even know this.
In February 2018, a woman boarded her flight from New York to Syracuse. But when she realized she was going to be seated near a baby and his mother, she started screaming at the flight attendant.
He's not going to cry the whole time.
We can put you on the next flight. What? We can put you on the next flight. No, I can't. I have to.
She told the flight attendant she was not sitting near a crying baby. But when the attendant told her she could take the next flight, she asked for her name and ID, saying, "You may not have a job tomorrow." And that was the last straw.
Right here. Your name? Tabitha 9766. Thank you, Tabitha. You may not have a job tomorrow. I want this lady. No.
After being told she'd be removed from the flight, the woman realized her mistake and started apologizing. Sadly for her, though, it was already too late, and she was going home.
I apologize. All right. I apologize. I have to be on this flight. Thank you, Tabitha. She was screaming at the baby. I'm not screaming. I'll be quiet now, please. Okay, I'm sorry. I was really stressed out.
The woman was a New York State government employee suspended from her job. In March 2021, the police received a call from Fort Lauderdale International Airport about an intoxicated woman who was yelling and spitting at employees after missing her flight.
I'm intoxicated. I can get on plane. I cannot afford the next so the manager.
The woman had fallen asleep while drinking at a bar, and even if she wasn't intoxicated, it was too late for her to board the plane anyway. But she didn't want to listen to any of that.
I'm not saying you have to pay for anything.
Go home. I want to go home. And she's me to.
After she attempted to assault the employees, there was no way she was getting out of this one. But even when the officer tried to understand her and asked her to walk away, she didn't comply. And that, of course, was a massive mistake.
I just told you.
You put your hands behind your back.
No, I'm not getting arrested. I'm not getting arrested. Oh, no.
In March 2022, a loud noise triggered a stampede at the Cancun International Airport in Mexico.
Mama, bro, what the I need to go home.
People rushed for cover, trying to save their lives from the supposed shooting, but it wasn't as simple as that. Many elderly tourists were knocked down, and children were separated due to the sheer panic at the airport. Here's the real kicker, though. The noise was a false alarm, and the National Guard said it could have been caused by a tourist tripping over some signs. In 2023, a man lost his cool at the Charlotte Douglas International Airport and started throwing racist and homophobic insults at people around him.
Black people, yo, you're black? You think you're you think
Dude, stop, man.
The bigoted man continued arguing with the staff, calling them all sorts of racist slurs, and when a man attempted to stop him, he went ahead and dished out some slurs for him as well.
piece of these people do not deserve for you to.
Of course, all that bravado faded quickly when police arrived, and once they told him if he'd like to be dragged out in handcuffs, he walked away like a good, obedient citizen.
I'll embarrass you tonight. I really do.
The pandemic was a strange time, with people throwing temper tantrums over masks and whatnot, and that's exactly what's happening here as well. The woman refused to wear a mask, and when she was told she couldn't fly, she went crazy, so much so that the police had to be called on her. And of course, she wasn't just going to leave like that, so she had to be carried out of the airport.